12,500 feet down, there's a staircase. No one has walked it in over a century. Water where the carpet used to be, rust dripping from the ceiling like candle wax. And every single day, something down there eats a little more of it. Right now, while you watch this. In 1985, a robot camera found the Titanic 2.5 miles under the Atlantic. Not in one piece, in two. The bow, buried nose first in the mud, almost peaceful. The stern, 600 meters away, twisted into a ball of metal like it had been through a war. Because it had. When the ship broke apart at the surface, the stern didn't sink. It corkscrewed. It spun through 2.5 miles of freezing black water like a falling leaf, and it hit the ocean floor hard enough to fold steel decks into a pancake 12 feet thick. People ask the same question every time new footage comes out. Why don't we just bring it back up? The wreck of the most famous ship in the world sitting right there. Photographed, mapped, visited by submarines. So why is it still down there? The answer is stranger and darker than most people expect. Here's the part that breaks people's brains. The Titanic isn't a shipwreck anymore. Not really. A shipwreck implies a ship. What's down there is closer to a sandcastle held together by rust. For decades, the pressure at that depth, over 6,000 pounds per square inch, has been crushing the hull. The steel plates that once seemed unsinkable are now thinner than the metal on a soda can in places. In the 1980s, engineers actually pitched plans to raise it. One proposal pumped the wreck full of 500,000 ping-pong balls for buoyancy. Another, inject it with wax, freeze the whole thing into a giant ice cube, and float it to the surface. Both plans died on paper, because the moment you touch this ship, it doesn't rise. It collapses. Structural engineers compared it to trying to lift a wet paper bag by one corner. You don't get the bag, you get whatever was inside it, spilling everywhere. So if the ship itself can't survive being touched, what's actually left to save? That question has a name, and it's eating the Titanic alive. In 1991, scientists pulled a rust icicle off the hull. Inside it, they found a bacteria that had never been cataloged before. They named it Halomonas titanicae, the Titanic bacteria. It doesn't just sit on the wreck, it feeds on it. It burrows into the iron, breaks it down, and leaves behind those dripping rust formations divers call rusticles. Fragile, hollow, and growing every single day. Researchers estimate this bacteria, and others like it are consuming roughly 400 pounds of the Titanic's hull every 24 hours. 400 pounds. Every day. For over a century. Do that math, and you get something chilling. Some scientists believe that within the next few decades, the Titanic as a recognizable structure will simply be gone. Not moved, not raised, dissolved. Turned into a reef-shaped stain on the ocean floor, which means the real countdown was never about engineering. It's biological, and there's one more reason nobody's in a hurry to send divers down to interrupt it. More than 1,500 people died the night the Titanic sank. Most bodies were never recovered. Cold water, deep pressure, no oxygen for decomposition to work normally, which means somewhere in those corridors, in those cabins, there may still be human remains, not skeletons. The chemistry down there doesn't allow bone to survive that way either, but traces, outlines, shoes still paired together on the silt where a body once was. That's why in 2012, the United States and the United Kingdom signed an agreement treating the wreck site as a protected memorial, a grave under international law. You don't send up a crane to a graveyard. So the Titanic sits in a strange kind of limbo. Too fragile to lift, too sacred to disturb, and too fascinating to leave alone completely, which is exactly why expeditions keep returning, filming it, watching it disappear in real time, frame by frame, like a hospice visit for a ship. So why haven't we raised the Titanic? Not because we lack the ships, the cranes, or the money. Because by the time we had the technology to lift it safely, there was nothing solid left to lift. The ship that sank in one night has spent more than 100 years dying a second. Much slower death. And this time, there's no rescue coming. The Titanic didn't survive because it was strong. It's remembered because it broke. And some things, once they're gone, are only ever going to get further away from us. That's the part worth sitting with. Not that we can't raise it, that we waited too long to try.